Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled How You Can Unlock the Power to Receive Any Form of Knowledge, the first step in your journey of truth. The podcast objectives are reveal the current state of our nation, restate why you must put on the girdle of truth, reveal why many are not being girded with truth, and reveal the prime objective of phase two. The power to receive knowledge. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 383 of our exposition of lawlessness. That's right, my friends. We are still counting the days of this exposition because our quest for the seal of Elohim is still on. Along these lines, you should consider the past 2 weeks as a short and much needed break in the action. My dear friends, we posted 159 podcasts in 12 months, and we shared the most critical, the most complex, and the longest podcast at the end. For that reason, it was necessary for us to take some time to reflect on everything we have learned and to ensure we are applying all the lines and precepts of holiness required for us to walk in the fear of Elohim, vis-a-vis the 16 degrees we have analyzed over the past 12 and 1/2 months. And for your reference, those degrees are hope, trust, reliance, faith, compliance, conformance, transformation, obedience, honesty, righteousness, purity, virtue, values, reverence, worship, and the fear of Elohim. Not only this, but I trust you are giving all diligence to reigning over the 16 degrees of lawlessness you have eliminated. Here is why. If you fail to maintain your reign over any degree of lawlessness, that degree of lawlessness will once again reign over you. It's just a matter of time. And for your reference, those degrees of lawlessness are despair, distrust, self-reliance, doubt, non-compliance, non-conformance, complacency, disobedience, dishonesty, unrighteousness, defilement, contempt, immorality, irreverence, blasphemy, and prejudice. Now, that said, I trust you have used the past 2 weeks wisely to pray and to fast as you are led, and to review any podcast you missed so you are ready for the path ahead. Here is why. The next level in our path is knowledge, the degree of holiness where you unlock the power to receive any form of knowledge Yahuwah desires to reveal to you. And although you won't know everything there is to know, you will know everything you need to know to obtain the seal of Elohim and to have everlasting life. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, this is huge. Look here. Of all the spiritual deficits that are destroying our nation, the greatest has been and will always be lack of knowledge. And if you would receive it, it is the primary reason why many of our people are yet under the curse of this captivity. My dear friends, think about that for a moment. Consider how Yahushua Messiah is raising up the tribes of Jacob in spirit and in truth. And he is sealing the set apart ones such that we are guarded in these last days and certified to reign with him in his kingdom. And despite this reality, to wit, Yahuwah's errand of mercy, goodwill, and love, the majority within this nation are yet under the curse of this captivity, and many have already died. For when he offered them a season of restoration, they were more interested in spiritual genocide. Put on the girdle of truth. Now, as it is, there are two sides to this story. To wit, there are those who are being destroyed because they have rejected knowledge, and there are those who are dying because the path to receiving knowledge is hard to find. Now, I'm not going to waste my time addressing the rebels in this nation who are rejecting knowledge. And yet, I would caution you to be wary of them, for many of them are instruments of Satan, and they have infiltrated many of our assemblies. Not only this, but these bad actors are a major reason why many honest men and women in this nation are struggling to find the path to receiving knowledge. Consider this, my friends, and be advised. By flooding our nation with false doctrines, these workers of iniquity have infected our assemblies with the 16 deadliest degrees of lawlessness. And for your reference, those degrees are ignorance, deception, rejection, thoughtlessness, disregard, misconception, imprudence, insanity, error, confusion, indecision, misjudgment, denial, delusion, incompetence, and failure. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. Consider how our nation is filled with ignorance, deception, rejection, thoughtlessness, disregard, misconceptions, imprudence, insanity, error, confusion, indecision, misjudgment, denial, delusion, incompetence, and failure. And for your reference, I have these 16 deadliest degrees of lawlessness on one slide. Feel free to pause the video and consider them. Now, upon considering these 16 degrees of lawlessness, ask yourself the following question: how can anyone find the path that leads to knowledge in an environment marred with these 16 spiritual viruses and diseases? The answer is sure, and we discussed it in the most recent series on prejudice and the fear of Elohim. Vis-a-vis, you must put on the girdle of truth, and you must never, I repeat, never take it off. Here is why. Truth is the only power that can defeat the 16 degrees of lawlessness you see to the right. Ergo, truth is the only power that can unlock any form of knowledge. For that reason, I ask you to pause the video once again and consider how none of the 16 degrees of lawlessness you see to the right has the power to defeat the truth. That said, we have answered the leading question on this lesson, to wit, how can you unlock the power to receive any form of knowledge? The answer is sure. Put on the girdle of truth and never take it off. The one who is blind to the truth. Now, if you recall, the girdle of truth is the focal piece and the whole armor of Elohim. For it unites every weapon in your arsenal. And you cannot unlock the girdle of truth if you are not walking in the fear of Elohim. My dear friends, we analyze these matters for the full duration of our series on prejudice and the fear of Elohim. And here is what we came to see: there can be no truth, wisdom, or knowledge where men refuse to walk in the fear of Elohim. Exodus 18:21. But you yourself seek out from all the people able men who fear Elohim, men of truth, hating unfair gain, and place these over the people to be rulers. Psalm 111:10. Resh, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. Shin, all those doing them have a good understanding. Taw, his praise is standing forever. Proverb 1:7. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Proverb 9:10. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the set apart one is understanding. Now, these verses confirm the central premise. That is, you cannot unlock the girdle of truth if you are not walking in the fear of Elohim, which confirms you are already walking in virtue, obedience, and faith. This is why I place a greater emphasis on your attainment of the fear of Elohim during phase one above your attainment of virtue, obedience, and faith. It is for two primary reasons. Get this. First and foremost, you cannot unlock the fear of Elohim if you have not unlocked the power of the other three. Ergo, by walking in the fear of Elohim, you are, in effect, walking in virtue, obedience, and faith. Secondly, the fear of Elohim opens a door for you to receive any manner of truth Yahuwah desires to reveal to you. This is why the girdle of truth can only be wielded by those who are walking in the fear of Elohim. Now, as simple as this matter is to understand, in concept, it is much more difficult to execute in practice. As I said before, we are in a fearless nation of fearful men who have made themselves enemies of the truth and enemies of Elohim. For these bad actors are true cowards who are unwilling to stand for the truth. And if you are unwilling to stand for the truth, you are unwilling to stand for Elohim. Facts. And thus, we conclude anyone who is not wearing the girdle of truth is an enemy of the truth and an outcast of Elohim. Why? It's because they don't love the truth. And whatever desire they have for truth is not sincere. We know this because anyone who is not walking in the fear of Elohim has been infected with dishonesty. To wit, they are liars who are lying to themselves and to Elohim. And trust me, if they are lying to Elohim, they will most assuredly lie to you. And that, my friends, is why they are not here. For Yahuwah discarded all the liars during phase one. Not only this, but he also discarded all the doubters, the fearmongers, the unfaithful, the self-reliant, the disobedient, the non-compliant, the non-conformants, the complacent, those who are in contempt, the unrighteous, the defiled, those who are prejudiced, the amoral, the irreverent, and all the blasphemers. They are no longer here. They are all gone. Now, if you're wondering why, I'll tell you. It's because these bad actors have been infected with the 16 degrees of lawlessness you see to the right. Ergo, Yahuwah is not girding them with truth because they can't handle the truth. Just think about it. What will happen if you share the truth with someone who is doubting? The answer is sure. He won't believe you because he is infected with doubt. Likewise, what will happen if you share the truth with someone who is disobedient? You guessed it. He won't obey the truth because he is infected with disobedience. The same goes for everyone who is infected with these 16 degrees. And this is why they are not with us. This is why they did not pass phase one. It's because truth is the only power that can unlock every form of knowledge. And because they are operating in these 16 degrees, they are blind to the truth. And the one who is blind to the truth will never receive the knowledge of Elohim. A body of wisdom, knowledge, and truth. Now, that said, let's talk about who is still here. To wit, those of you who have been called and are determined to be chosen, men and women who are true contenders for the seal of Elohim, having endured the teaching and training we shared in phase one. I will start by offering you our first treasure box in this series, which I advise you to bookmark if you are led. The past year was not only the first phase in this exposition on lawlessness, my dear friends, it was also the first phase in your quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. What does this mean? Quite simply, it means that anyone who did not make the transition to this phase will never be sealed. They will never be saved. Could the stakes be any higher? I think not. Therefore, I admonish you in the spirit of the watchman, don't let your guard down for one moment. You have done well in defeating the 16 degrees at the foundation of the mountain of lawlessness. But your work is not yet done, not even close. Remember, your victory over the spirit of prejudice is only the first of 7 major milestones in your quest. Likewise, your victory over your sinful nature is only the first of 7 victories you must obtain over the 7 greatest enemies standing in between you and everlasting life. Now, the good news is that you have completed the most important phase. To wit, the foundation is laid. From now, you must build on that foundation a body of wisdom, knowledge, and truth. And that is the prime objective of phase 2. My dear friends, now that you have been girded with truth, you must wield the powers of faith, obedience, virtue, and the fear of Elohim. In doing so, you will see through all the errors, confusion, deception, delusions, and lies that are destroying our nation for the simple but sure fact that the majority are not wearing the girdle of truth because they are operating in lawlessness, namely prejudice, contempt, disobedience, and doubt. My role in this enterprise is the same as phase one. I'll be your tour guide, and by the Ruach of Elohim, I will expose many false doctrines and heresies that have divided our nation and destroyed the futures of many who were called, but will never be saved. And you will see the truth of these matters, for you have unlocked the power to receive any form of knowledge. That is, if you have completed phase one. If you haven't, I suggest you get on the fast track today. Even if you missed the past year, I'm telling you, start with End Times 300, an Intro to Lawlessness, Part 1, which was posted on July 1st, 2024, and listen to as many podcasts as you can each day. That's how serious this matter is. Everything is at stake. My dear friends, you must believe me. We have reached the end of the great falling away. And anyone who has not unlocked the power to receive knowledge has no path to obtaining the seal of Elohim. They have no path to be saved. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, the majority in this nation may be without hope, but we are going to be sealed. We are going to be saved. So stay with me if you're with me, for by the end of this phase, you will know everything Yahuwah desires you to know. You will see the truth the majority in this nation will never see. And whilst they find they cannot grow, we will be freed from this captivity. Praise Yah. Now, here is the final word. The truth you know will determine where and how far you go. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, we are about to embark upon a very difficult phase of our spiritual journey. We know this because the spiritual pandemic that is destroying our nation is being spearheaded by the 16 deadliest degrees of lawlessness. And our next series of battles is with these 16 degrees. Heretofore, I recommend get ready for the fight of your life. And remember, many have already died. For although we are in a season of restoration, the majority within this nation are trapped in a season of genocide. Now, here is today's assignment. Go back into the archives and listen to every podcast from phase one as you are led by the set apart spirit. You'll know you are being led, for when you are done, you will be equipped with the girdle of truth and ready for phase two. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, how you can unlock the power to receive any form of knowledge. And I will post the next podcast in 2 weeks on Monday, August 4th, 2025, as we prepare to embark on our conquest of truth, wisdom, and knowledge. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim, continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.